Good evening, beautifuls and amazings and wonderfuls. I hope today was good for you. Um, my day totally got away from me. It was tumultuous, to say the least. Um, I had many opportunities of things to rant about, but time was so pressing from every miniature fire I had to put out today. So I, and even now, the baby girl has been sent to bed, but baby boy is in the shower. So if he's having a good time playing in the water, that could take, some time. But if he's being a normal little boy, he's gonna hop in and hop out without washing the areas that he knows to. So, in the interest of time, let's see, what was the most rant worthy for today? You know what? Biggest struggle for me today by far was trying to figure out how to parent a child who made a bad decision. Try a child who made a bad decision but was triggered by something emotionally linked to trauma, right? So that's like how do I explain it without getting too deep? So let's see. So if my children sneak and watch something scary, right? The consequences would be them having a nightmare, right? So much so that maybe one of them might wet the bed. The bad decision was sneaking to watch the movie. The consequence was the nightmare. But the thing I have to parent is triggered, right? My moment of having to parent, it is initiated by finding out that they wet the bed, right? So when you find out that they wet the bed, you're just trying to address the fact that they wet the bed, right? And why didn't you wake up? And were you drinking something late at night, or whatever the case may be? And based on maybe like the age of the child, the relationship between the parent, they might tell you, oh, I was scared, or I had a nightmare, or they might just flat out tell on themselves and say, I was watching something I wasn't supposed to watch, and right? For me today, right, there was an incident when my son made a bad decision, and just based off of the preliminary information, just like, oh, waking up and seeing you got, you smell like urine, the bed is urine, all that kind of stuff that I got to clean up, the frustration there, it's like, oh my God, I thought we were past this, I thought we were over this, right? How do you parent that? But so that was my first thought, was like, oh my God, this is the incident, let me respond as a responsible parent, right? A tuned in parent. But when I get there, I'm blindsided, because when I get there and all the details and circumstances and all the things leading up to the incident comes out, it's not, oh, you was sneaking and drinking water and juice and soda and whatever else late at night, and you were so tired that you wet the bed. And no, it wasn't that. It was, oh, you did this and you did this and you did this and you did this, and that's what led to this. But instead of sneaking to watch a scary movie, you were triggered because of something that traumatic that had happened to you that I didn't know about, or that I wasn't sure of its impact on you. When my children get in trouble, or things are brought to my attention that don't illustrate my children in the best light, it's very I take it very hard, because there's a part of me that is always going to be a people pleaser. I try not to make that particular part of me the first voice or the first thought process. that I consider. But I'm already just finding out that my son is having a hard time. It just knocks me off my balance for the day. Because my thought process is always all the what ifs. If you don't give me enough detail beforehand, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I'm gonna be like, well, what if this happened? Or what if this happened? What if this happened? What if this? What if? Based off the stuff that I know, regarding him and his school situation right now, I would have never thought. And sometimes just the anxiety from going off the deep end of thinking of the worst case possible, does set me up. It really does. Extend me, stretch me really thin emotionally. And that's kind of what happened today. So starting off, my day early in the day, having to deal with that. And then arriving, the whole drive there, I'm concerned that there's going to be a follow-up call. Because the first call basically just prompts me to be present. Like, okay, we need you to come up here. I think it'd be best if you came up here. But if you're not giving any details, which is what I'm normally given for anything, it could be, he spilled his drink on his thing, or we had a lockdown at the school, or hey, he's sleepy, or he left this at home, whatever. I get calls all the time, because they know that they can call me and I'll answer, good, bad, or indifferent, or even on accident. I've had somebody call me because there's another child with the same first name as my son, and they called me instead. I was like, oh no, other child, no worries. But I'm usually given more information upon when I get the phone call, and so when I didn't, it kind of left me wide open to speculate a whole bunch of foolishness, and unrightfully so, rightfully and unrightfully. But that whole drive there just seemed like forever. Every minute was counting down, and I just really wasn't prepared for it. And when I got there to find out other details that I hadn't even considered, it was just hard. It was just like a blow after blow after blow after blow. And see, it's really hard to keep a straight face, right? When somebody is giving you devastating news, bad news, embarrassing news, unwanted news, I try to keep a straight face so that at least they can continue to deliver the information uninterrupted. Like, that's my thing, is to give you, show you nonverbal cues that I'm paying attention to what you're saying. I'm taking note, so that you can continue. I want you to give me everything. I don't want you to feel like you have to hold back, or that your words are falling on deaf ears. But that's a challenge, because when you're hearing things that are shocking or hurtful or concerning or anything, it's hard to keep a straight face. And so the energy that was required to do that, really took a lot out of me. Wanting to really be brash, and just how I parent behind closed doors is a lot more free than outside, because people who don't understand can cause a lot of damage to your family by being an onlooker. So I'm mindful of how free I am in taking care of my household outside of our four walls. So yeah, that was a challenge. My silence scares my children. It doesn't matter if they're in trouble. It doesn't matter if they're, aborted. They read me, right? And so the other challenge of keeping a straight face is, how do I communicate? With a mask on, of course. How do I communicate with a mask on that I'm present in the moment, it's not the end of the world, and to make sure that he remain open enough to not shut down in the midst, because he's watching me while the principal is giving me the blow by blow what was going on. And that meeting took so long. My presence on campus was so long today, and nothing got done. And so, to go back to the original prompting, how do you parent when you're blindsided by the trigger, right? Like when it comes to fighting, right? A few parents are like this. Well, a lot of parents that I know is you don't start it, but you finish it, right? I don't condone you being the first one to put hands. If somebody is not in your face, touching your body, violating your space, right? If they ain't put no hands on you, then you don't put any hands on them. But as soon as they do, it's a free-for-all. Send your message. Send your message, boo. But this wasn't one of those times. So, yeah, my son wanted to come in and tell me goodnight. They're not used to my door being closed because no doors get to close unless you're in the bathroom in this house. Or changing. But yeah, so that was a challenge for me today, is determining how to parent when you're blindsided. Like, big time blindsided. I had to really, on the fly, come up with tools to kind of help me find my balance, help me find my footing after having lost it by the original call and the stress and the anxiety that was building up on the way to the school, anticipating another call, and it was really hard. Like, I'm so happy I made it through the day, and I'm happy that the children are in good spirits, and everything wasn't derailed from today. But I want to do better next time. Ultimately, hearing him recount something that he was feeling, triggered by something I didn't know he was exposed to, hurt. Something inside of me broke. And I really had to swallow it. Like, I really had to just eat whatever that was trying to come up, like swallow it, because being at the school at that point in time, after he had taken those actions, it wasn't the place at the time to do that, because he shared with me, he's dropped some bombs on me before, and I learned how fragile he is when we try to unpack it. And so from previous experience, I learned when he shares it with me, communicate to him in our way, that I hear him and I acknowledge it. So it's not like I'm ignoring him or I don't believe him, but redirecting him temporarily so he can focus on something he can successfully navigate. So yeah, I still have to revisit this with him in a safe space, right? And do it tactfully so that it's an isolated situation. So it's not, oh, I'm still mad at you. Well, I'm not even mad at him about it. Oh, this is in conjunction with this. We need to revisit this. And it's hard because when your child is in a good place and you want to take them to a place that's scary. Like, there's certain things he keeps under wraps and won't say anything about it until after the fact. He's so much like me, it's scary. Like, I want to be firm, and I want to create structure, and I want to be the best parent that I can be for him, or for my children in general. But when your children are, I want to say innocently, because if you have not already shown them and taught them and given them the opportunity to express themselves in a healthy way with regards to something traumatic, right? He's really just emoting the best way he knows how, getting it out the only way he knows how, whatever comes out naturally, right? So organically, not innocently. So organically, we'll say organically. He's organically expressing something that he's been eating, he's internalized in that moment. So ultimately, what I decided to do was to compartmentalize the events of today and parent each of them isolated, right? Because at the end of the day, if I address the principles behind the incidents, right, and say, hey, what are the rules regarding this, right? What could you have done differently, right? I'm so grateful because he was able to take ownership. Um, and he was able to express his own apologies, his own sincerest apologies to all people and persons involved, and was able to transition back for the rest of the day. But such a bomb was dropped. And even in his getting to recounting, when he would go back and revisit the events for today, so he can go through step by step and resolve the issues and problem solve and figure out how to avoid situations like this, or the better way to navigate it. He just looked so broken, so defeated, so hurt by his own actions, not even realizing it was connected to something else. And just thinking back to that, although I did, address the issues, the behavior, the decision process, the thought process, understanding the options, having him identify what he should have done, what he could have done, and, demonstrating the core values that he's been raised with. I still feel like I kind of failed him, because it was an aha moment for me. And if it was a test, unofficial test of trust, I feel like I failed him, because I could not address that elephant in the room, right? I could not address that bomb that he dropped at that place, because having been in that position before, it did not work well for him. It really caused more harm than good. But maybe that's what this parenting thing is. The lesser of two evils, right? Say going for the greater good and having to just eat. Like, oh, this is 85% great and 15% suck. But you know what? Gotta go with majority rules. But even if majority rules, that minority feeling still sucks balls. Like, but on a lighter note, nobody was hurt physically. There was no suspensions, expulsions, no legal anything. Like, it was a very minute ripple in the water, and in the realm of the atmosphere that was going on. So even though it was like an atom bomb dropping in my world, on the island of me and my babies, in the grand scheme of things, for that ecosystem of his schooling, that part of his life, it was moved over. Like, he finished his day, ready, he's eating his dinner and taking a shower, and now he's in the bed. Hopefully, I'm gonna check when I close out this. He's ready to go to bed for tomorrow. He's reading his books, and not confident I did the right thing. Not confident I know what the right thing is. Guess that's just how parenting goes. Lost a lot of hours of productivity today. A part of me kind of says, I always blame myself when my children have a hard time, because my responsibility is to give them what they need, to teach them what they need, provide for them what they need. And when they don't do those things, ultimately I blame myself, because that's my responsibility. Because I always proud believer, firm believer, my children didn't ask to be here. I love them, and they're the best thing that's ever happened to me that I didn't know that I needed in my life. But they didn't ask to be here. So when they struggle, I blame me. I am going to give me some strawberry shortcake, because I'm an emotional eater. I'm going to eat the rest of these painful feelings associated with my feelings of failure today, and try to sleep away most of it. Hope that Friday is better. I'm grateful for my children's resilience, for their intelligence. I love that he's strong and aggressive, yet sensitive and intuitive, and So intelligent. My baby's smart. Both of my babies are smart. I love his ability to bounce back. I love his desire to want to bounce back, even when it's hard. So I pray you guys' day was great. And I pray that tomorrow is even better. You are loved. You are significant. You make a difference. Go be great and have a good night.